We're continuing our chat on demand avoidance, but this time we're focusing on strategies tailor-made for autistic adults. Let's go. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Orionkelly, that autistic guy. I'm all about providing validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones. Demand avoidance isn't just a challenge for kids. Yep, it's something that autistic adults can also struggle with daily. And it's about more than just procrastination or stubbornness. Demand avoidance is a complex interplay of sensory sensitivities, social pressures, and cognitive processing differences. For autistic adults, demand avoidance may manifest as a reluctance or resistance to comply with demands, instructions, or expectations perceived as challenging or overwhelming. Let's explore some common triggers for demand avoidance in autistic adults. The first trigger, overwhelming social situations. Now for adults, these can be slightly different. They might be networking events, workplace things, large social gatherings. Whatever they are, massive triggers for demand avoidance. How about job-related stresses, unrealistically tight deadlines, ambiguous, unclear expectations or directions from your employer? Just the sheer pressure to complete workplace tasks trigger demand avoidance. Sensory overload in public spaces can be a big trigger for autistic adults. And the reason why I bring this trigger up is for autistic kids, quite often when they're in public spaces, they're with a safe person, right? A parent, a carer, support worker. Now for autistic adults, sometimes we are, because of demands and pressures and responsibilities, forced to go into triggering public spaces alone. We don't have that support person with us, our loved one or whoever. So these can really impact your ability to rise to the demands in your life. But this trigger for demand avoidance in autistic adults is just about universal, my friend. And that is unexpected changes to your routine or your work schedule. How good are last-minute cancellations? Oh my goodness. Rant alert, by the way. Oh, I can't believe this. This has just brought up some fire in me I can't let out. I must let out. I can't, but I must. But I cannot. But I must. Listen, if I book an appointment and then let's say my kid gets sick, yeah? I can't affect that. It is what it is. I call up. I'm sorry, I can't make my appointment today or tomorrow. Can I please reschedule because my kid is sick? I can't fix that. No worries, there'll be a cancellation fee. No, I'm not cancelling the appointment. I'm not saying my kid's sick, I'll never see you again. I'm saying my kid's sick, can I move my appointment? Can I reschedule it to do it when I'm available? Sure, but there's a cancellation fee. There's no cancellation. I'm not cancelling. I'm moving. I'm sick. It's out. Another big trigger for demand avoidance in autistic adults is relationship conflict. In fact, it'd even be as simple as just relationship misunderstandings. I don't care if it's with your family, your friends, your partner, mere misunderstandings, let alone conflicts with these people, can and probably will create high emotional distress. What's that going to do? That's going to trigger demand avoidance. If your capacity is no longer able to meet the demands in your life, well, you're clearly going to avoid doing it. You're going to push back, right? Your capacity is taken up by navigating misunderstandings and conflicts. The bane of autistic people's existence. As autistic adults, we have a lot of things added to our lives with regards to stresses. So, financial stuff. I mean, is there anything more stressful than money issues? That's another clear trigger. Bills, debts, unexpected expenses. If you have a family, this happens all the time. That's going to trigger all sorts of stuff. Anxiety, distress. Our executive functioning challenges as autistic people can also be a real trigger for demand avoidance. Struggling to manage time, to navigate the things in life that require executive function often leads to feeling hopeless, overwhelmed, again, impacting and triggering demand avoidance. We've talked about being misunderstood and conflicts, but how about feeling invalidated? Another trigger for demand avoidance in autistic adults. If you're waking up in the morning and walking into a society, a community you're neck of the woods, your people, whoever. And the baseline of understanding about you as an autistic person is so low that it's a constant battle to feel in any respect understood, let alone validated or accepted. Again, it's going to suck your capacity dry, guys. This isn't rocket science. Masking to fit into this so-called accepting community. Another trigger of demand avoidance. Trying to fit into neurotypical environments is exhausting. Not only is it futile, but it's exhausting. But this trigger I find really interesting. As an autistic person, do you find you're ever forced, maybe that's the wrong word, but you're ever in a situation where you are having to do activities that go against your own kind of personal values or beliefs, right? Because that's what's being done by your friends, your family, the community. That's what you need to do. Maybe it's in the workplace. We need to do this activity or this thing because that's what we're doing. But for you, and you have to do it, it goes against what feels right to you or what is how you see the world, right? Your worldview is different. Although it sounds complicated, what I'm putting to you is internal conflict can trigger demand avoidance because internal conflict is a real sucker of energy. How often do you have internal conflict with the things you need to do to fit into a neurotypical world? You could add to that just social pressures to conform. That's clearly another part of that trigger. Obvious general examples for that kind of social pressure would be the things people say. Can you look me in the eye at least when you're talking to me? Can you stop fidgeting around like that? Can you speak a bit more friendly or nice? Or, these kind of like, what are you talking about? As autistic adults, we are potentially forced into more unpredictable social interactions. Not everything can be staged and rehearsed because it's life and we're adults. And just having to go through these on a daily basis. Another trigger for demand avoidance. But this trigger is something I absolutely hate. Workplace politics. Frankly, I don't even know if I can explain this to you. Like, I studied politics in uni, and that's very different to workplace politics, right? I don't think even calling it politics is fair. If you're an autistic person, just getting a job is bloody incredible. Keeping it, unbelievable. But then thinking, oh, by the way, there'll be things like office dynamics, peer politics you'll have to navigate as well. Hang on, sorry, what? So I'm going to do my job as an autistic person in a neurotypical workplace, but then you're saying there's also dynamics in the office? What do you mean dynamics? What are you talking about? How about everyone just shuts up and does their job and gets the hell home? That'd be nice. Another big trigger for demand avoidance in autistic adults is things that adults have to go through in the workplace. Assessments, evaluations, KPIs. Seriously, what have we become? We're humans working with other humans. We're going through regular periods where they're getting some completely arbitrary marking system and somehow trying to put a human being into it and then provide some sort of score. And what's that for? I tell you what, it's carrot and stick. That's all it is. Has no relevance to them or you. Nothing. It's carrot and stick. How are we going to do that? We're going to say, there's some stuff you're doing okay, right? There's your carrot. And there's some stuff you're pretty crap at and you need to get better at. There's the stick. Now, what does that do? We really like having you here. You're doing a great job. But we don't want you to get too comfortable. So you crap at these things according to this document. Now suddenly you're fearful of losing a job. So suddenly you suck in all these things that aren't your fault and compress them and suppress them and keep doing your job. That's what a load of crap. Here's an idea. How about we stop evaluating employees and just have personal conversations with each and every one of them on how we can help them be better at what they do by working out how they can thrive and feel good in what they're doing. Revolutionary. What's often forgotten is autistic people can often have co-occurring conditions. In other words, can often juggle multiple health challenges. These are going to impact your ability to have the capacity to meet the demands in life. That's all I'm saying about that. People always forget this. Last one, before we go on to some genuine practical tips to help the autistic person in your life navigate demand avoidance. And that is, talk about your own personal needs. Are your personal needs being unmet? As an autistic person, your personal needs and preferences need to be met, just like everyone's do. Why? Because when they're not met, you are dysregulated. You are starved of your capacity. If you're being starved of periods of quality alone time, or you're not getting time to do your special interests or passions, or you're being forced into sensory triggering environments, these will all add up. Autistic people's preferences and needs are based on having a medically diagnosed neurodevelopmental disability condition. This isn't a joke. Here's some practical tips to navigate demand avoidance in autistic adults. So listen up. Prioritize self-care and set boundaries. Example, how about you schedule in with your partner or loved one in your life regular alone time periods, so they're actually part of the day-to-day calendar. And an example of setting boundaries may be empowering yourself to decline social invitations when you know you are dysregulated or you are feeling overwhelmed. In other words, understanding your capacity and knowing if what is being proposed to you, social interactions, potentially more work, right? Someone at work is asking you to do more, knowing that if that's going to pass your capacity, understanding it's okay to set boundaries and say, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Tip number 2, and this is where it gets a little bit different from tips for autistic kids. As an autistic adult, whether you think it's conflict or stressful or not your thing, you're wrong. As an autistic adult, you are going to have to work out ways to advocate for yourself, to advocate both in your personal life, but also, and this is important, in educational and employment sectors. Learn to advocate for your needs, for accommodations that will help you, and this is where it's a win-win. People think, oh, how selfish. No. This is a win-win. What will help you thrive in the workplace that you aren't able to get yet, but you know, being an autistic person, if these things could be provided, these accommodations, which are actually usually very much free, a little adjustments, would help you thrive and be a more productive human, a more productive partner, student, employee. These are the things you need to get into the habit of advocating for. Examples. Is your workspace too busy? Too many distractions? Around too many people? Do you find the influx of verbal communication overwhelming in the workplace? Does everything have to be face-to-face or on the phone? Can it be electronic, emails, these types of things? Thinking about the tiny little tweaks and adjustments you can make to your environment in school, work, home can 100% contribute to navigating through periods of demand avoidance. Developing your very own personalized sensory toolkit is really another key tip in navigating demand avoidance. As autistic people, we all have many and varied and individual and unique sensory sensitivities. The idea that you could be going through life and still not understand what your key triggers are is unacceptable. As an autistic person, I can say that. I'm allowed to say that, okay? So back off, peeps. The point is, you know your triggers from a sensory point of view, okay? Some people, it's all about smell. Some, it's noise. Some, it's light. Some, it's touch. It can be just an overwhelming sense of the environment you're in. But you have to understand what they are as related to the workplace or the home or uni, school, whatever, and then work out what can I use, what can I provide myself to navigate through these when they come up, to continue to thrive or be regulated in these environments. But this next tip to navigate demand avoidance as an autistic adult may seem a little bit too confrontational to us autistic people, but stick with me. Practice assertive communication techniques. What? Hang on, so what? But autistic people, they're really blunt and honest and black and white and straightforward, Orion. What do you mean assertive? Maybe I don't know what I mean. So for autistic people, our communication can be very black and white. What does that mean? Well, being assertive or saying something calmly are two very different things. My brain will go, how can I be assertive without being what you might class as rude or blunt, right? Because that's how the brain works. It's like good and bad. Calm, assertive. Huh? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. How can you assert yourself firmly but calmly? Again, the brain automatically goes, no, Ryan, calmly, firmly, black, white. Can't do it. This is what I'm talking about. This is like working muscles. Can you tell? I'm huge. This is, right? You have to practice assertive communication techniques. Things that are, as I say, still regulated and calm, but are clear and firm. The brain will trick you. Don't let it trick you. It's going to go, no, firm, bad, calm, good. You can't put them together. Yes, you can. A great example could be, and this might be in the workplace or in your personal life, someone changes plans on you. Let's say this happened in the workplace. Now, that is going to obviously cause you quite a lot of distress. If an employee and a fellow employee or your employer, your boss, whoever, has come to you at the last minute and changed plans on something they need you to do, that is going to impact you, probably significantly. And that's where we may fall into the trap of not looking at it from being assertive, right? But still being professional. And we might have a truly autistic reaction, which, as you know, what's going to happen? They're going to get offended, feel uncomfortable, think we're a bad person, and we're going to get fired. So you don't want that. So it's about thinking, okay, how can I calmly, professionally, but firmly, assertively convey to this person or this employer or this workmate that it's important for me to be the best person I can be, to get as much notice as possible for changes in plans and tasks. Now, I know they're not always going to have those available, but in that instance, if you could then move that to someone else who's more capable of dealing with these quick changes, that would be really beneficial to me as an employee. Another tip, which is not just for kids, it's bloody great for autistic adults. And that is breaking down tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Demand avoidance is often the mind being overwhelmed. As autistic people, being overwhelmed is almost like breathing. So it's going to factor into day-to-day tasks, which is going to fire off demand avoidance. This task, too many factors to it, too many steps, too complicated. I can't do it. The brain literally shuts down. I can't do this. Well, you can if you do it in steps. I can't see the steps. I can just see this gigantic thing, which I can't navigate through. So I can't do it. I'm sorry. I really want to do it, but I just can't do it. My brain won't let me. See, my voice is speeding up. This is how I feel. The nervous system shock is horrible. So getting those tasks and going, okay, stop. It's overwhelming. Okay, but let's break them down one step at a time. If you have large projects at school or work, break them down into smaller sub-projects that you can work on one at a time and slowly join them together. At home, there might be things around the house you've got to get done, right? Chores, tasks. Okay, rather than saying we've got to get all these things done, create a checklist and only focus on one at a time and slowly tick them off. Rather than today, I must complete all these. No, it's right. Right now, I'm just going to do this. Tick it off. From my point of view, this is like classic astronaut mentality. If you were going to do a spacewalk, probably one of the largest portions of your training would be, in fact, this type of mindset, guru, Jedi, whatever you want to call it. Large tasks, small steps. Why? If I told you, morning, today you're going to head out there for a 12-hour spacewalk, barely tethered to life, flying around the Earth, looking down on the void of space, the vacuum of space. Well, your job is to open up that contraption, remove that crappy part, and replace it with this good part. Then seal it back up and wander back in. No worries. I can unscrew something, pull it out, put it in, unscrew it, and get back out. Anyone can do that. Not in space. You got these things on yourself called mittens. Big oven mittens, except they're made to keep you alive in space. Have you ever tried to unscrew something and replace a part with gloves on your hands, keeping them alive, that are the size of 700 oven mitts? It's not possible, but it is. I've seen them do it. Because it's one screw at a time, right? Not even one task at a time. There's 7 screws. Okay, let's focus on screw number 1. Don't worry about the rest. When you finish with screw number 1, you tell us. All right, let's move on to screw number 2. That astronaut mentality is a clear example of how powerful it can be for autistic people who will think about all the screws and the components and the parts, replacing them, getting back on the spacewalk, back into, hopefully some sort of safety, right? 700 catastrophes happening. Another tip for navigating demand avoidance as autistic adults is using visual tools, visual aids. These things absolutely work. If you can see things in writing, whether they're calendars or schedules, checklists, things, it really does help because you know where you stand. And it's not like something's going to creep up on you and demand something of you, right? You can see it coming up. And just that little bit of processing time is really powerful for the autistic brain. Now, the only thing I'd say about this is, it may be controversial, but I question the usefulness of digital calendars and digital reminders for the autistic brain. Why? Because they pop up at the last minute, maybe never, depending on when you set an alert. And when they pop up, regardless of what you're doing, you're probably just going to swipe them away or flick them away or disregard them. However, if those same appointments, to-do lists, things you need to know are coming up, are written down on paper, on a calendar or a schedule or something you walk by or you physically see with your eyes, potentially when you're not doing anything else, you're going to take notice. And your brain is going to absorb it and go, oh yeah, I've got that doctor's appointment tomorrow. But let's say you set an alert for 24 hours the day before, it flicks up on your phone. It's just an annoyance, so you flick it away. But this next tip may sound almost unachievable, but it's not. And that is to identify and eliminate sources of unnecessary stress or pressure. Audit your life. What in your life creates stress or pressure? As autistic adults, the point of this video, when we were kids, although life wasn't easy, we simply did not, this is just factual, we simply did not have the same level of stresses and demands placed upon us. And even if we did, it didn't come anywhere near, for the most part, our capacity to meet them. Now we're adults. We may have a partner. We may have kids, pets, a job, bills, stresses, demands, the world, expecting, because we're an adult. I know because I think I've reached that point in my life. The capacity can no longer meet them. So what do I do? Do I give up? Or do I audit and find these sources of stress, pressure, and try to eliminate them? Now again, these are unnecessary sources. Right? I'm not going to eliminate my children. Let's just make that clear. I'm not going to do that. Moving on. How about we build a support group? No, not really think I'm going to do that, Orion. I'm autistic, so not really my thing. No, what I mean is, who's your Justice League or your Avengers, right? Who's your team? Who's your safe people? Try to build that team. Build a community, a tribe that can be there for you, that you can be there for them. Because I reckon just from doing content and having people join the community and talk to them in live streams and comments and emails, I know from my own experience, let alone the joy that it brings the community, I know that having a community to talk to and feel validated and accepted and supported is one of the most powerful things to the quality of life for autistic people. And if you want to join mine for a limited time, it's only $5.99 a month. I'm kidding. So, no, you don't. Shut up. Shut up. It's free. What are you talking about? You just go to the live streams, comment, email. It's like, it's a joke. Why so serious? Another tip for autistic adults to navigate demand avoidance is to lean into understanding the power of relaxation and mindfulness practices. I talk about this a lot. Why, Orion? Why do you? Because I wanted to get through. I'm not asking you to become some sort of guru level meditating professor. I'm just saying, learn a little bit about how you can help your own body to regulate and thrive through just breathing, just sitting, being, allowing your brain to unravel. Do it regularly. It will bring peace to you. And trust me, it actually does improve you as a person. Even just breathing when you need to. I'm not going to keep going over this because you get all judgy. I can feel it. I can feel it through the camera. It's just not right. It could be overheating though. Oh, it's happened again. But this tip, much easier. Engage in stuff you love doing. Do things that bring you joy. That's another way to navigate demand avoidance. The next tip, please don't underestimate the power of a daily schedule, a daily routine. Now, I know as autistic people, you rely on them. The question is though, do you actually have one? No, I don't mean like, oh, I do. Yeah, I kind of like, okay, then let's get it in a list. Now, the reason why I'm suggesting this and pushing you a bit is because demand avoidance is triggered by demands. But everything in life is demand, right? Life demands you eat meals. Life demands you shower, right? You change your clothes. You do work, do tasks. You do things. Life demands that of us. So what if it was actually part of your daily routine? So you actually developed, maybe it's a window, if a time is too much, a window of when you have your meals, when you have breaks, when you watch TV, when you play games, when you do some work, when you shower. I know it sounds like a list of demands, but if it's a routine you do daily and it provides you with an opportunity to actually thrive in life, then I think you'll understand how powerful it is once you give it a go. Rather than you popping up on the day and going, oh, I haven't done that yet. See, it wasn't on the list. So now it's a demand. Setting realistic goals and expectations is a really powerful tip in navigating demand avoidance for autistic adults. Breaking news, you can't complete all tasks at once. I don't believe myself when I say it. It's true. You got to give yourself realistic expectations, guys. Come on, seriously. You aren't going to be able to do everything in one go, or you aren't always going to be able to achieve everything. You have to have realistic expectations on yourself. That's hard. You know why? Because everyone else in your life has never, ever placed realistic expectations on you. So you aren't even trained to understand what they look like. This is a horrible paradox for autistic people. Frankly, a really simple example to start with is to just reset your goals. Let's say there is a task, a big thing you want to do, and your expectation is, I'm just going to do it. Now, I don't think that's achievable for many reasons. Even if you could, what benefit will that have in doing it in one go, right? Is it that urgent? And two, what cost will it have on you? What have you missed while you did it? But if you break down goals, my goal today is to complete this portion of it, that can only help you with all the coming demands for the rest of the day. And the next tip really flows on from that. So we're talking about expectations. Now I want to talk about being kind to yourself, being compassionate to yourself. And who would do that, Orion? That doesn't make any sense to me. I get it. Because who's kind and compassionate to us? So why are we kind and compassionate to ourselves? That makes no sense. Again, this is a horrible paradox and experience of being an autistic person. But yes, that's what I'm saying. The power of your own kindness and compassion for yourself is far, far more profound than you could ever imagine. The constant self-criticism for not completing something. Seriously, what is the cost of doing this to yourself? The self-loathing, self-hate, self-criticism, we all do it. I do it. When you feel yourself doing that, just stop for a second. How can you be kind and compassionate to yourself? Well, I might not finish what I wanted to finish, but I've achieved this. Right? I'm closer to finishing it. Another tip is sensory-friendly activities. Do you know what these are? Like, are there things you like to do or you do and you don't think you like them, but you do them and suddenly you just feel really happy or peaceful? A classic example could be walking on the beach. People go, oh, I don't want to go to the beach. I hate the beach, right? But then because they think that means you get into certain clothing, you get wet, you do this, you do that. But what if it means wearing normal clothing and shoes and just walking along the top of the beach or the sand, the tar or whatever, and just absorbing the environment of the beach? Like, so for me personally, that is very calming and relaxing. That's a sensory-friendly activity for me because the sensory stuff, which can be quite overwhelming for me, some reason is really settling. For you, it might be something different. It could be the feeling of art or craft. It could be the smelling of the cooking you're doing. It doesn't matter what, it could be the darkness. It doesn't matter what it is, but trust me, this is really something that can really help you. sensory-friendly activities. Time management is a big issue for autistic people. So can we improve those skills to help navigate demand avoidance? Well, the short answer is yes. As a personal example, I can struggle to keep track of time. When I'm doing things, I may use way more time than other people would think is realistically appropriate. So for example, if I'm really stuck on a particular task, I don't realize that it's 3 hours has gone by. If the kids are home and I've just disappeared for 3 hours and I said back in 5, right? So you need to work out, okay, time management, what does that mean? Well, I could set timers, I could set, alarms, alerts, things that tell me I can do this or I can do that, but I have to factor in that this is the time I can allot myself and then take it out of my hands. So my phone will tell me it's been an hour or it's been 5 minutes or you need to move on to this task. But this tip is often disregarded, but I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's helpful. Physical activities. People automatically think, oh, come on, mate. Okay, what's a physical activity? No, it's not. It's not you in the gym sweating out for 7 hours or even running. Allowing the sun or the outside world to touch your skin, right? Going outside for 5 minutes, walking around your street or your backyard or the park or your neighborhood, allowing any degree of sun or the environment to touch you. That kind of physical activity can absolutely alter your own state. And again, remember, if we are regulated, if we're in a good place as autistic people, demand avoidance is going to be far less debilitating. Please listen up to this tip. Celebrate your own wins, my friends. Celebrate your own successes. Autistic people never do this. Very rarely do this. In fact, I personally don't even understand how to process or feel good about wins or successes. So how can we navigate that? Okay, so I'm saying celebrate wins and successes, but what I'm actually saying is, can you acknowledge them at least, right? Acknowledging successes, wins, positive things you've achieved. You're providing yourself with an actual physical and mental acknowledgement that you can do these things. Maybe you need a record. Write it down in a journal or record it so you can look back and go, I have actually achieved these things. What does that mean? Okay, well, what are demands? Things to achieve. Okay, and you don't do things because you can't achieve them? Is that why there's demand avoidance here? But there's a whole book full of things you've achieved. That's hard to argue against. If you'd like to learn even more about demand avoidance, check out my playlist, Demand Avoidance and Autism.